The investigation into the disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan begins with an audio recording that experts believe changes everything. For 7 months, the public believed the narrative of 2 children who vanished into the Nova Scotia wilderness on May 2nd, 2025. However, newly released police audio reveals details that expose a series of calculated lies and profound consciousness of guilt. This evidence, described as a prosecutor's dream, centers on the initial 911 call made by Malehya Brooks Murray at 10:01 a.m. What makes this call remarkable is not the terror one would expect from a mother whose children have vanished, but rather Malehya's chillingly controlled demeanor. While most parents in this situation are hysterical and incoherent, Malehya sounds remarkably composed. She provides information methodically, as if reporting a minor property crime rather than a life-or-death emergency. The dispatcher, a veteran of high-stress calls, noted that Malehya's behavior was highly unusual, too calm, too measured, and suspiciously certain of the facts. During the call, Malehya immediately established a specific narrative. The children had been playing in the backyard while she and her partner, Daniel Martel, were inside with the baby. She claimed the yard suddenly went quiet, and they discovered the back gate open. Crucially, when asked if someone could have taken them, Malehya's response was immediate and definitive. No, they just wandered off into the woods. This instant dismissal of any other possibility, such as abduction or foul play, suggests a parent who isn't searching for answers, but one who is providing a pre-written explanation. The 911 recording also captures Daniel Martel in the background. When he eventually takes the phone, his demeanor is markedly different but no less suspicious. He sounds agitated and breathless, but behavioral analysts describe his emotion as performative. It has the quality of an actor playing the role of a distraught parent. During his portion of the call, Daniel makes a statement that stands out to investigators. "I should have been watching them more closely. This is my fault." While this could be seen as genuine guilt, in the context of the emerging evidence, it appears to be a strategic move to frame the event as a tragic accident resulting from negligence rather than a deliberate crime. Following the 911 call, police body camera audio from the first responders provides a window into the couple's behavior in the immediate aftermath. Arriving at 10:15 a.m., officers found a couple whose story was suspiciously aligned. In high stress, genuine trauma, witnesses usually provide chaotic, disorganized accounts. However, Daniel and Malehya's stories were so similar in phrasing and detail that they suggested a rehearsed script. They both emphasized the open gate and the wandering off theory with a level of coordination that signaled pre-planning. As officers began to press for a specific timeline, the first cracks appeared. Daniel's account of how long the children were outside shifted from 20 minutes to 10 minutes, then to total uncertainty. Malehya joined the conversation, began to cry, but officers noted she remained strangely articulate and controlled. When asked when she last visually confirmed the children's presence, she paused significantly before claiming it was 30 minutes prior. This established a window of silence that investigators now believe was staged, possibly using recordings or the adults themselves making noise to create the illusion that Lilly and Jack were still alive and playing. The broader context of the Sullivan household reveals a family under immense pressure. Living in the isolated rural community of Landon Station, the family faced mounting financial debts and domestic instability. Both children had shown signs of trauma months before the disappearance. Teachers reported unexplained bruises on Jack and significant behavioral changes in both siblings. A formal report had been filed with Child Protective Services just 3 weeks before May 2nd, documenting marks on Jack's arms that looked like forceful grabbing. However, the system failed to intervene in time. Both Daniel and Malehya had concerning histories. Daniel had a past investigation regarding harsh discipline of a child from a previous relationship, while Malehya had temporarily lost custody of Lilly and Jack 2 years prior. Recovered text messages show a relationship strained by the burden of parenting. Daniel had sent messages to friends referring to the children as burdens and stating that life would be easier without them. Malehya expressed feeling trapped and overwhelmed. This background provides a motive for the events that investigators believe truly unfolded between the last sighting of the children at a Dollarama on May 1st and the 911 call the following morning. The evidence strongly suggests the children never saw the morning of May 2nd. Investigators believe something happened to them on the evening of May 1st, and everything that followed was an elaborate cover-up. Forensic analysis at home, using luminol, revealed the hidden truth. Traces of blood in Jack's bedroom and the children's bathroom, though the surfaces had been scrubbed clean. The chemical reaction proved that both children had bled significantly in separate locations. There is no innocent explanation for why a home would be meticulously cleaned of a child's blood on the same night they supposedly wandered off. The soil on the property spoke as clearly as the blood. Analysts found chemical markers consistent with human decomposition, elevated nitrogen and adipocere, at 3 separate locations: the tree line, behind an outbuilding, and behind bushes in the yard. These findings suggest the children's bodies were moved between temporary hiding spots while the couple decided on a permanent solution. The timeline of the accident was further demolished by a delivery driver who spotted Daniel's truck 10 kilometers away at 5:45 a.m. on May 2nd, 4 hours before the 911 call. Cell phone data confirmed Daniel was in that remote, wooded area at that time, despite his claims of being home. Preparation for the crime was evident in financial and digital records. A week before the disappearance, Daniel bought digging tools and cleanup supplies with cash. These items were never found. Days before the children vanished, Malehya ordered industrial-strength biological cleaners, which were delivered on April 30th. Furthermore, internet search history showed both suspects looking for information on evidence detection and decomposition. These are not the actions of parents living a normal life. These are the actions of people preparing for a forensic battle. The digital life of the children also ceased abruptly. Their tablets, which were used daily, went dark at 8 p.m. on May 1st. Smart home devices recorded a spike in noise in the hallway at 9:45 p.m., followed by a total, eerie silence. At 10 p.m., the thermostat was turned up dramatically and kept high for hours, a common tactic used to alter the environment of a crime scene. When police first arrived and noted the children's beds were perfectly made, they were likely looking at a staged environment. Malehya's claim that she made the beds that morning seemed increasingly suspicious. It was a detail meant to project normalcy where none existed. As the investigation transitioned into formal recorded interviews, the focus shifted to the suspects' individual accounts. These sessions, where Daniel and Malehya were separated, allowed detectives to use skilled interrogation techniques to highlight inconsistencies. In his first formal interview, Daniel was confident. However, as detectives revisited his timeline, his story began to morph. When the contradictions were pointed out, Daniel didn't offer clarity. Instead, he became defensive, accusing the police of trying to trick him. One of the most revealing moments occurred when a detective asked Daniel directly if he had harmed the children. Instead of an immediate, forceful denial, Daniel paused. His eventual response, "I would never hurt them," used hypothetical, future-focused language rather than a direct denial of past actions. When a detective pressed for a yes or no regarding his actual actions, another long pause followed. This hesitation is a classic red flag for investigators, suggesting the subject is weighing the legal implications of his words rather than speaking from a place of innocence. Daniel also committed a psychological slip during his description of the night of May 1st. He used the phrase, "after the kids were put down," before quickly correcting himself to, "after the kids went to bed." The term "put down" is chilling in this context, as it is language often associated with ending a life. While it could be an unfortunate choice of words, when viewed alongside the blood evidence and the biological cleaners, it takes on a much more sinister weight. In her own interviews, Malehya displayed a different set of deceptive patterns. She used tears as a defense mechanism, but investigators noted her crying was curiously selective. She was composed when discussing happy memories of Lilly and Jack, but became distraught only when the questions turned to her own activities, the family's finances, or her relationship with Daniel. Furthermore, she consistently used distancing language, referring to her children as the kids, or those kids, rather than using their names. This psychological distancing is common among those who have harmed someone close to them and are attempting to emotionally disconnect from the reality of their actions. During the interrogations, Malehya's response to the history of abuse in the home was one of pure deflection. When asked about the bruises reported by teachers, She immediately blamed the children, calling them clumsy, and accusing the educators of being biased against her. Rather than showing concern for her children's injuries, she attacked the character of those who tried to help. This blame shifting is a common trait of abusers. While she insisted she was a good mother, the audio captures a tone of mounting stress and defensiveness that contradicted her words. The investigation reached its climax with the discovery of a confidential recording. This audio captured Daniel speaking to someone he trusted, unaware that his words were being preserved. This is the kind of evidence that destroys a defense. In the recording, Daniel is heard complaining about the pressure of the police investigation. When his confidant asks why he is worried if he is innocent, Daniel's reply is a bombshell. Don't understand how complicated this is. If I tell the truth, everything falls apart. Daniel's statements in this private setting were not ambiguous. He spoke of having done things he regrets and knowing things he wishes he didn't know. Most damningly, he explicitly stated, "They're never going to find them where they are. I made sure of that." This is not the language of a man whose children wandered off into the woods. It is the language of someone who has actively participated in concealment of remains. He admitted to a level of control over the children's final resting place that only a guilty party could possess. The recording also features Daniel discussing Malehya's role in the tragedy. He stated, "She couldn't handle them anymore. She wanted them gone, and I helped her make that happen." While he later tried to claim he was referring to a custody dispute with the biological father, that explanation fails to account for the fact that the children are missing and presumed dead. His words, "I helped her make that happen," serve as a direct admission of his involvement in the disappearance. He described a situation that got out of hand and escalated beyond what was intended, painting a picture of a crime born of panic and domestic rage. The confidential recording has undergone rigorous forensic audio analysis to confirm its authenticity. Experts have verified that the voice is indeed Daniel Martel's, and that the tape has not been manipulated. When Daniel was eventually confronted with this recording in a police interview, his reaction was telling. He did not deny the voice was his. Instead, he attempted to minimize the damage by claiming he was drunk and wasn't thinking clearly. He argued he was simply agreeing with the other person and conversation, but these excuses ring hollow against the specificity of his admissions. The collective audio evidence creates an overwhelming narrative of guilt. From a very first 911 call, Daniel and Malehya began constructing a false reality. We hear the performance of the initial report, the rehearsed coordination of their stories during the first police walkthrough, and the gradual widening of the cracks during formal interrogations. Finally, we hear the mask slip in a private moment where the truth is finally spoken. The audio doesn't just provide facts. It provides a tone, the pauses, and the chilling coldness of the suspects' own voices. For a jury, this evidence is extraordinarily powerful. Unlike circumstantial physical evidence or witness testimony, which can be challenged on the basis of memory or contamination, an audio recording of the defendant's own words is difficult to ignore. To hear a father figure say, "I made sure the bodies would never be found," is a visceral experience that a written transcript cannot replicate. It establishes a level of immediacy that pierces through the lies the couple maintained for 7 months. The case of Lilly and Jack Sullivan is moving toward prosecution that many believe is long overdue. The transition from a missing persons investigation to a homicide case was built on the back of these recordings. As the community demands accountability, these tapes serve as the primary evidence of what truly happened on the night of May 1st. The calm in Malehya's voice and the admissions in Daniel's private conversation suggest a shared secret that is finally being brought to light. The next step in this journey for justice will be the presentation of this damning audio in a court of law, where a jury will finally decide the fate of those who were supposed to protect Lilly and Jack.